Today is World Health Day, and I want to talk about health in a way that the wellness industry almost never does, not as something you optimize, but as something you learn to read. The body doesn't lie, it sends accurate signals. It has been sending them. Most people have just become very skilled at not listening. I'm Raphael St. James. At H2P Collective, we work with people and teams to use their problems as the doorway to their goals. We have a 5-step framework called synovial space that takes a systems thinking, multi-dimensional approach to attaining goals. In 2019, I got into Jiu Jitsu, not for competition. I was trying to lead by example, introducing my youngest daughter to that world, showing her what it looked like to try something hard alongside her rather than just encourage her from the sidelines, despite my osteoarthritis. The gym we landed in was highly competitive, competitions almost every week, and the philosophy of that gym, stated directly, without apology, was push through your pain. Almost everyone training there was managing multiple injuries simultaneously, and they wore it like a badge. The injuries were evidence of commitment. The pain was proof you were serious. I have a background in functional range systems, a methodology built on understanding what the body can and cannot do based on its actual architecture, not its aspirational one. So I was sitting in that environment with a very specific understanding of what was happening in the bodies around me and in mine. Let me translate some of that for you because it matters. When a muscle gets injured and repairs, it doesn't always return to its original state. It repairs with scar tissue, less elastic, less functional, less responsive than what was there before. The muscle works, but it works differently. And if you keep loading that tissue before it can adequately remodel, which is exactly what training through pain does, the accumulation of that scarring progressively reduces the quality and range of movement. You're not building resilience, you're building a compromised system that has learned to function within increasingly narrow parameters and calls it toughness. Here's what most people don't know about what happens when you keep loading a joint into painful ranges of motion. The body doesn't simply send a pain signal and wait. It adapts to being ignored. Specifically, it produces more type 4 mechanoreceptors in the area being loaded. These are the nerve receptors responsible for generating pain signals. The body is literally building a louder alarm system because you kept ignoring the existing one. Pushing through the pain doesn't desensitize the system, it makes the warning more insistent. The body is not punishing you, it's escalating because the previous signal wasn't heard. And then there's the neurological dimension. Tissue can heal completely, the physical damage fully resolved, and the nervous system will continue generating a pain response in that area for years afterward, because the nervous system encoded the threat and was never given the signal that it was safe to release it. What gets mistaken for ongoing physical damage is often a nervous system running a protection protocol on a threat that no longer exists. The Jiu Jitsu gym told me my pain was weakness. They didn't know my end ranges are structurally different than other people. They didn't know that pushing into my closing angle joint positions isn't building capacity, it's producing exactly the type 4 mechanoreceptor proliferation I just described. More pain signals, a more insistent alarm, a system being trained to hurt more, not less. I left that gym, not because I couldn't handle hard training, because I could read the data accurately enough to know what the training was producing. That's the skill, not pushing through, reading accurately. Every signal your body is sending right now, the fatigue that doesn't resolve with sleep, the tension that's been in the same spot for 2 years, the inflammation that comes and goes, that's not malfunction, that's communication. The question is whether you have enough literacy to read what it's saying, or whether the culture you're operating in has convinced you that hearing it is weakness. High performing people are trained to override. The culture rewards it, and for a season, that works. The body is extraordinarily adaptive. It compensates, it finds workarounds. But compensation has a ceiling. The signals quiet in your 30s become insistent in your 40s and non negotiable in your 50s. The people most surprised by health events are almost always the ones who had the most warning and the least willingness to hear it. Today, not next week, do one honest inventory. Where is the attention right now that you've been moving past? What has your body been sending that you keep filing for later? That's not weakness. That's the beginning of accurate assessment. And accurate assessment is where every real movement starts. The free synovial space diagnostic at h2pcollective.com gives you an honest snapshot of where you are across all 8 dimensions of your life. But a snapshot on its own is just data. What turns it into a roadmap is the conversation, your goals, your results, and the insight Liz and I bring to both. That's where we find the one change that creates movement everywhere else. Take your goal, start with the diagnostic. That's the first step. World Health Day comes once a year. Your body sends signals every day. The difference between the two is that one is on the calendar and the other has been waiting for you to pick up the phone.